just like that, it's time for our weekly roundup of all the things Lady just ain't gonna do this week. Number 1, school shootings. An incredible, incredible tragedy unfolded as 18 children and 2 teachers were killed in Uvalde, Texas on Monday. The gunman was 18 years old and a high school student who was able to purchase a gun earlier that week. The news coverage of this event has been unrelenting, and so I will not cover all the details that I know are being repeated over and over again on every news station from seemingly every angle. But here's what we need to know and say about this that cannot be repeated enough. This was a tragedy that was completely preventable, and there is blood on the hands of every single legislator in either party that refuses to vote for sensible gun control. Bigger than that, though, we have an ethos in this country that lives are disposable, that human life is not valuable. Those who profess to be pro-life and yet turn away from the incredible atrocities that we commit in the name of ideology, freedom, and straight-up conspiracy theories, all of those people are complicit here. Lady has said this several times. This country can only function the way that it does if it's powered by amnesia. And every single time this happens, and it does happen frequently, in fact, more frequently than any other country on earth, every single time this happens, there's outrage for a few minutes, and then a forgetting that happens that allows people to focus on the wrong shit. We focus on the mindset of the shooter, and then there's this tepid interest in addressing mental health. We allude to the inevitability of these types of murders due to an escalating mental health crisis, and then we just say that we offer our thoughts and prayers. On the other hand, there are those who are getting fired up about policy change, and rightfully so. I mean, for years, the House of Representatives in Congress has passed bill after bill to regulate the availability of guns, and the Senate refuses to do the same. But look, if I'm being honest, I think all of these conversations miss the boat. Why do we have such stark mental health crisis in this country? Sure, it's the pandemic, it's the economy, it's all those fucking things. But you know where this shit started? It started under President Ronald Reagan and the Republican Party, who defunded social services as a part of their political program in the motherfucking 80s. What happened in Uvalde is the result of a failed political program and a failed ideology involving small government and free market capitalism. I'm old enough to remember this shit, and that's the thing I was saying about amnesia. I know this to be true in my lifetime, but these people act like they don't know why this is happening. They act like they can't do anything about it. They will look in the faces of those 21 families and tell them it was an unfortunate case of a troubled teen who was bullied in high school. But that's not what it was, not at all. It's a failed ideology that is strangling this country piece by piece, bit by bit, and now child by child. It's sad, it's disgusting, and it's sick. And more than all of that, it's going to happen again because people are too cowardly to learn the lessons that keep presenting themselves over and over again. The entire Republican strategy depends on obscuring their failures. From the battle against critical race theory, to the Don't Say Gay bills, to banning trans people from bathrooms, to the fight to eliminate abortion, their plan ain't working for the majority of people in the country. And it's high time we laid this at their feet. Not in a party versus party kind of way, because to be honest, they're both fucked up on this, but in a show me the impact of your plans kind of way. You heard it here first. Other things Lady just ain't gonna do this week is Biden's executive order on policing. Yawn. Literally the same day that Republicans' failed policy agenda got a school shot up and 19 elementary school children killed, President Biden announced an executive order on policing in a basic Becky attempt to pander to Black voters. Look, Lady knows how hard these executive orders are to do. And so, especially during an election year, this is hard work. Blessings to the staffers and officials who got it done. I get it, and I'm still finna say what I'm finna say. It is such a weird flex to go running around the country talking about refunding police and then signing an executive order that basically doesn't do much different than what's already required by the feds: data collection and reporting. Listen, y'all, let me give you the real on this shit. The executive order literally establishes a federal database of officers who have been fired for misconduct and requires federal agencies to update their use of force policies. The database applies to federal officers and state and local jurisdictions that opt in to partnering with the federal government on joint task forces. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out what this means, the order covers about 100,000 police officers. You want to know how many full-time officers there are in the U.S.? A little under 700,000 as of the end of 2020. So basic math here. This order covers less than a fifth of the police officers in this country. There's more to the order. It bans federal officers from using chokeholds unless deadly force is authorized. It restricts transfer and purchase of military-grade weapons by local police departments, and this is actually significant. It limits the use of no-knock warrants by federal police, and it stipulates requirements for receiving federal and state grants. Ladies' conclusion here is that honestly, the Biden administration can do very little on their own with police reform. The way the government works with checks and balances and all that shit is that the president can only dictate what happens at the federal level, and only under some circumstances. But this executive order is not going to do much, if anything, at the level of Black voters. I mean, the fine print demonstrates that this will have very little impact on how police operate in our communities. So there's that on that. Let's talk about what we want more of this week. Y'all ready for this? I am so excited. All right, number one, Kemp versus Abrams. Now, let me tell you how excited I am for this rematch. And as of last week, it looks like we finna get one. Brian Kemp officially became the Republican contender, easily beating the Trump-backed candidate, David Perdue. You will remember, or maybe you won't because dude was so damn boring, that at first, Trump was walking around talking about he endorsed Stacey Abrams because he was pissed off that Kemp and Raffensperger would not steal the election for him in Georgia. I mean, shit, look, I get that. Kemp stole the election for himself, so why wouldn't he do it for Trump? But in all seriousness, when that didn't evoke outrage, he endorsed Kemp's Republican opponent in the Georgia governor's race. Stacey Abrams did not have a Democratic challenger because, Lord knows, okay, across the country, everybody won a rematch after that sad-ass state of affairs in 2018. So we love to see it. There's other races that we're excited about too, including in Georgia, we have a runoff on the Democratic side for Secretary of State. You know, these are the people who make and enforce the laws about voting. Just a little bit of an important job, you know. Well, there were two frontrunners on the Democratic Party side, Bee Nguyen and Dee Dawkins-Haigler. Now, over here, on this side of things, we are excited about Bee Nguyen, who would not only be the first Asian American to be elected to this position, but also her positions on expanding access to voting are spot on, especially for Black folks who are being disenfranchised each and every day. Let me tell y'all a little story. I've been trying to register to vote in Georgia for hell long, okay? Months. I'm somebody who's actively engaged in politics. I vote regularly, and I have tried 3 times now to register. So what you think finna happen to someone who is trying to register, who doesn't even think that voting matters, but they got moved by a candidate that they like? You think they finna keep trying? This right here is voter suppression.